Okay, guys and girls, thank you so much for attending our weekly workshop. And we are, live on Zoom, so the public can hear us, today. It won't be videotaped or whatever because of this room and the nature of the setup. We haven't all that technology yet, but people can listen in our quest to be more fully transparent. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Cancel Mesa.
Here.
Ms. Frenchco. Mr. Malloy.
Here. Okay, this week's meeting is gonna kick off in recognition of National Vietnam War Veterans Day, which is tomorrow. We will have a, Vietnam veteran chaplain lead us in prayer, and then Herm, from, our Veterans Affairs is going to have either a board member or himself just talk about the significance of Vietnam veterans to, Trumbull County, and we'll honor, them tomorrow in accordance with National Vietnam Veterans Day. We do have a ceremony in September. There will be a regular ceremony, annual ceremony that we do to recognize veterans, but in accordance with the holiday tomorrow, we'll also do something to kick off our meeting tomorrow. So that should be nice. Number one, dispense with the minutes. Number two, approve the bills. Pretty self-explanatory. Number three, to approve change order number 5 with United Contractors, Inc., for the voter access improvements for the Trumbull County Board of Elections, and the amount of $28,029, revising the total amount to $446,762. The increase in the change order is $28,000, and it's subject to the approval from our ARPA legal counsel, and per the request of Mr. Slawinski.
Commissioner,
You have the floor, sir.
Sure. Good morning. So this change order is listed, there's 3 items there in particular. The first one being a security issue with the fobbing of the doors between the lobby and where the workers are. There's 2 doors involved there. Okay. The second item has to do with the storage of some of their documents, and with the new layout, they realized they don't have enough space as far as cabinetry. That would include that. Then number 3 is the front of the Board of Elections, is the concrete replacement. It's in poor shape. It does not meet current ADA standards because it's failing, cracked. And so that cost is for the complete removal and replacement of the front of the, Board of Elections concrete.
Okay.
This
is all within the scope of the project.
This is all within the scope of the project. The original engineer's estimate was $513. Right now, we're at $446, so we're $70,000 below cost.
And we are,
This is number 5, which would be the last one on this phase, which is the voter access phase, for the ARPA funding. So there'd be money coming back into that ARPA fund from this phase of the project. We still have the roof that was bid and waiting on weather to proceed with the roof. That's the second part out of the Board of Elections.
yeah, I see we have scheduled for, a ribbon cutting for early voting access tomorrow. Is that, where's that, Drew? There you go. Good morning.
I apologize.
Well, you're up, so you might as well.
Yeah, we're up.
Okay, so we have tomorrow the ribbon cutting, Thursday, 10:30. We'd like to invite everyone in here. We sent out a press release. The phase 1 of the project, just about complete. We have people in there now waxing floors and doing a bit other things.
Thursday ribbon cutting.
Thursday.
So tomorrow, so it's Thursday.
Apologize,
Yeah.
tomorrow's your meeting. Everything has gone very well. The cooperation, everyone involved from the contractors. Mr. Slawinski has handled everything. It's just amazing. People that are coming in that have viewed it, people stop by. Couldn't be more impressed. The public, officials that came in, wanted things. Everyone, it's beautiful. We've moved into the front office. We're working in there.
So everything's online for voting day and early voting.
We had a contingency plan, wrote a letter thanking the Cabrera family company holding a spot for us, just in case something went wrong. We're very grateful for that.
We're good.
Early election is,
Early election, it starts on the 4th, next week. We're ready to go with that, and May 2nd, Thursday.
Just want to commend, Mike Solinsky as well. I mean, when we started on this journey through COVID and everything else, we had that other building, across the street. When that fell through and we couldn't use it any longer, we had to improvise rather quickly. So we wanted to make this as accessible and as, regulation friendly as we possibly could. Mike was a big help throughout that, so was Andrea. And, I want to thank you guys, appreciate it. Happy to do the ribbon cutting.
That's very nice to see something come in under budget. Not only that, saving us money from having to have a makeshift
Sure.
Plan B also, so that saves us money too. So congratulations to all of you for that, thank you.
And I want to commend him.
item 3.
Item 3?
Oh, item 2 to item 3,
Yeah.
yeah. They both say item 2.
What's item 2?
They do?
Yeah.
Even though we were under budget, there were a lot of things that came through that weren't expected.
Sure.
Oh, okay, thank
Still
you.
around the budget.
Yeah, we
Worth noting, thank you.
we had some early hurdles in this construction that really could have sunk the ship with the asbestos and whatnot that we got through and we had a hard time, and we were very adamant that we make this time. There was we only had so much time with what we got it done, so
Yeah,
ready for early
under
voting.
the gun.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Very good. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. There's a better chair back there, Jim, if you wanna pull it.
Oh, well, we'll be on fit.
Number 4, approve the agreement by and between Trumbull County Sheriff and the Mecca Township Board of Trustees for expanded police security service within the boundaries of Mecca Township. They agree to pay the sheriff's total amount of $20,437 per year, due and payable on a monthly basis, to be effective for 9 hours a week. Dedicated service due and payable on a monthly basis. Contract is effective period January 1 to December 31. They furnish 1 deputy to provide police protection and service to all geographical locations under the jurisdiction and control of Mecca Township. Further request of the sheriff, subject to approval of the prosecutor, and this is, just 9 hours a week is all they're getting?
This is a contract that we've had with them, every year. We've been trying to get this contract, this agreement signed, because of, not having enough for meetings. So, finally, we were able to get the agreement. But, it's just 9 hours a week, no more than 9 hours a week. Our deputies are commonly having through Mecca, things like that. They seem very happy with, the services. Again, this is just, for them to contribute towards ours has been the standard over the years. Only increase that they've seen so far is just because the hourly rate for our deputies. So last year it was around. Again, this is affordable price for them.
So they do use Mecca Fire as a, kind of unofficial post?
Yes, we do have a substation there at Mecca Fire where they are able to log in.
Do we do anything at Johnson Community Center anymore? So that's, I noticed the 1 or 2 deputies pretty much at all times around Mecca Circle somewhere, so that's nice, convenient that they can service other parts of the township quickly from there.
Again, it's centrally located and they are able to have faster response.
Very good.
Tony, I know in the past when I talked to the sheriff, I know the soft cost that's been rolled into that, the chargeback that we charge back as far as gas, vehicle maintenance, all that. Is that accounted for in this number here?
I'd have to look at the,
We wanna make sure we're, covering ourselves too in that respect.
we would include if this was larger contract with more hours. And on top of that, to
Okay.
cover the wear. But looking at just,
There's gotta be some of it rolled into, because if you do the math on it, we're getting about 259 hours, over 250 hours, divided by 20,000, about $78 an hour. So if it's one deputy, so it's gotta include some of the costs in there.
but it includes like the,
Legacy costs,
yeah,
but not the soft costs associated with it. In the future, I think we need to look at that. I mean, obviously, with budgets being tighter and tighter without ARP funding, and it's not gonna make or break us, but we need to look at every cost savings that we possibly can, so. I'd like to see that rolled in.
Okay, item number 5, to receive the Tax Incentive Review Council Annual Report, year ending 2022, request Trumbull County Commissioners to accept, TIRC report, recommendations, and meeting minutes. And they've got the, Tax Incentive Review attached.
Nick?
Yeah, this is done annually. The Tax Incentive Review Council has to review all of our tax abatements provided to companies within Trumbull County. So they met on March 16th. We went over all of them. Everybody was found to be in compliance with, and recommended continuation of their abatements, with the exception of one, as noted, they're due for expiring. So this would be to accept the annual report and concur with the recommendations so that we can complete the state reporting by March 31st, as required by the state.
Anything that stood out or jumped out at you as being,
Well, we get a lot of information that we get for compliance purposes. We have a jobs and payroll report. I think one of the things we saw was a lot of the companies had high turnover, but that is consistent with when we do our BR&E visits through the chamber, that a lot of companies are struggling with workforce, and we did see a lot of the wages increase to $18, $19, and some at $20 an hour as the starting wage. So wages are going up to try to curb this turnover with a lot of these companies. So that's the biggest thing that stood out, but that is something consistent that when we do our BR&E visits, the companies are talking about, we can't keep good people. Somebody's gonna offer a signing bonus plus 50 cents more an hour, and people are jumping jobs, trying to get that higher wage. So, hoping that flattens out sometime soon.
And I guess we realize that as a council that, that's a factor in some of these, under the job threshold for the contract, but, we understand that they're unanimously through the vote, that, companies are trying to retain and get new people, so, as long as they're meeting that criteria, I think we can get to pass it along.
thank you. Number 6, adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a RAD ominous amendment agreement, a compliance monitoring agreement, and a consolidated agreement to subordinate elderly housing use agreement relating to the county's housing revenue bonds, Series 2008, Gerard Manor Apartments project.
Ms. Connie is here from the.
I hope so, because I don't know what the hell it's
Yes,
about.
and I would like to say that,
All 3 days long.
Mr. Blake Beechler,
Seen before. I'm Colleen Tilio, and I'm the Finance and Development Director at the Housing Authority here in Trumbull County. A number of years ago, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, introduced a RAD program, and that's the acronym for Rental Assistance Demonstration Grants, or programs. And they did it with the public housing, side of their department. In recent years, they have, expanded that into some other of their multifamily programs. And one of them is the 202 program, which is an elderly program, for individuals, who are income restricted and they're either age 62 or older. Built one of these projects, out in Girard. We've built a few others since then, but it was one of the first in Ohio, and actually in the nation, where we used 4%, low-income housing tax credit, with bonds that, generously were issued by the commissioners. The bond issuance actually was dated, I believe, 2009, paid them off in 2010. However, with these projects, there is a bond regulatory agreement that stays on the project, as long as HUD is providing rental assistance. So, with this RAD program we're able to do is we are able to move from this 202 program, and again, not to get too far into the weeds, because this is, we're hoping to move it to what they call a project-based rental assistance. Different programs in HUD, but what it does for this program this project that we're extremely excited about, is it will bring in additional rent, higher rent than what HUD was, funding under the 202 program. So instead of HUD only allowing us to break even, they will pay for only actual costs. We'll be able to, generate higher rents at that site and provide additional services to our elderly residents. We have actually, through this process, asked for even additional, rental income to enhance some of the, services to our residents that we were already hoping that higher rents would, garner. So anyway, we're coming back. We have to get, the county commissioner sign off on 3 documents. One is the omnibus, agreement that essentially, RAD omnibus agreement, essentially, it redefines the, language between the 2 programs. It just is kind of a crosswalk. So in other words, instead of 202, references in the, bond regulatory agreement will be PBRA, Section 8 PBRA. The second document is, agreement to subordinate the elderly, use agreement. Again, all the funding outside of HUD has to be subordinated in order for us to continue to get the rental subsidy. Bonds, tax-exempt bonds are one of those, and then a compliance monitoring agreement. The, trustee on this bond issuance is Huntington, and they are the compliance monitor, so they have asked that there be a compliance monitoring agreement also executed by all of the funders on this project. The tax-exempt bonds is only one of about 6 different sources of funding that went into this project. Again, our residents have been made aware of it. This is a process that's been in the pipeline for about 1.5 years. This is our final hurdle, to get the commissioner's approval.
Yes.
I'd like the board to know that, when I get something like this, I reach out to Blake Beechler. He's our barn counsel, so he knows everything, he approves it, so you can feel protected by working with Ms. Connie here. So Blake Beechler gave me the language for this
I was
resolution.
gonna say, excellent job on the language.
So it was
for
a
this.
copy paste, so that,
Way above my
Ms. Connie
pay grade.
working with Blake, it's nothing to do with me, so just wanted you to know that, thank you.
Great job, and thank you for what you do.
Any questions?
The Girard unit you have there, is that full capacity, or we?
Yes, it is a 40 unit, and it has been fully occupied since we got the certificate of occupancy in April 2000. There's a pretty healthy waiting list. I encourage any of you to go out and drive past it. It's at 530 Washington Avenue. We have another one out, in Hubbard, called Eagle Creek Apartments, and it's on Myron Avenue. Both of them were finding it similar. We had to bring some other funding into the Eagle Creek. We're very proud of them, and our tenants have kept really great care of them. So, very happy.
Are you somebody can answer any questions about the, Riverview high-rise behind Hot Dog Shop? Do you have any involvement with that?
I am involved. I'm the one dealing with HUD on the actual approval, but I would defer any questions to Finance to deal with that.
Okay, item number 7, adopt the following final resolution enacted by the Board of County Commissioners of Trumbull County, herein referred to as Legislative Authority Local Public Agency, or LPA, in the matter of the stated described project, also referenced as PID number 108547. Final resolution, whereas the 8th day of February 2023, the LPA enacted legislation proposing cooperation with Director of Transportation for the described project. Project consists of rerouting a water line along State Route 46, just south of State Route 2 interchange to East Market Street, including removal of the current water line and placement of new conduit lying within Trumbull County. Whereas LPA shall cooperate with Director of Transportation above described project as follows. County agrees to assume and bear 100% of the entire cost of the improvement, less amount of federal aid funds set aside by Director of Transportation for financing this improvement from funds allocated by the Federal Highway Administration, U.S. Department of Transportation. Share of the cost of the LPA is now estimated in the amount of $617,520, but the said amount estimate is to be adjusted in order that the LPA's ultimate share of said improvement shall correspond with said percentage of actual cost when said actual costs are determined. And whereas the Director of Transportation has approved said legislation proposing cooperation and has to be made plans and specifications and estimated cost and expense for improving the above described highway, and has transmitted copies of the same to this legislative authority, and whereas LPA desires the Director of Transportation proceed with the aforementioned highway improvement, page 2 of 3. Now therefore be it resolved, the estimated sum of $617,520 is appropriated, described above by the fiscal office, hereby authorized and directed to issue an order on the treasurer for said sum upon the requisition of Director of Transportation. Pay the cost and expense of the said improvement. We hereby agree to assume in the first instance the share of the cost and expense over and above the amount to be paid from federal funds. 2, that the LPA hereby requests the Director of Transportation to proceed with the aforesaid highway improvement. 3, that the LPA enters into contract with the state and that the Trumbull County Commissioners be and is hereby authorized to execute said contract, providing for the payment of the LPA the sum of money set forth herein above for improving the described project. 4, that the LPA transmits to the Director of Transportation a fully executed copy of this resolution. Another mouthful. Gary?
Yeah, Commissioners, you're familiar with this. This is where we're, diverting Diamond Interchange. We have a water line going right through the center of it. We need to keep that line active. ODOT needs to move that line in order to complete their construction. And anyway, we have to bear the cost of, all the construction involving the relocation and the continued operation of that water line. This agreement came to me from ODOT. I wrote up a resolution for it, sent it over to Bill Danzo, and he took it from there.
Okay.
So,
All the legalese in here and everything is already gone
yes,
through.
he's the one that actually
process.
submitted
7
this,
and 8.
he's the one that submitted this to Paula.
7 and
I
8.
sent it to him for his review, then he's taken the ball from there and put it on the agenda.
So this is where we approved that we're gonna be on a payment plan for the stuff.
Yes.
This is the legalese to make that legal in Bill Danzo's eyes and ODOT.
Yeah.
Number 8 is the payment, yeah.
Yeah, and number 8, you can see is that's the payment schedule.
8, to approve the payment schedule for payments required under the final resolution and contract with the Ohio Department of Transportation for PID number 10854, which will allow the estimated cost of $617,520 to be divided into 5 quarterly payments, and authorize Denny Malloy, President of Trumbull County Board of Commissioners, to execute a payment schedule, and explains what it's for. Now, Gary, is this the commitment we got from Eastgate, the $250,000 from Eastgate, is that in this, or is that above and beyond
No,
this?
that doesn't have anything to do with the Eastgate thing. It just says out of the $617,520, we owe 5 payments of $123,504. The first one is due May 1st of 2023, the last one May 1st of 2025.
Okay.
So, as far as the Eastgate thing, if we get their funds in, we'll use that to make these payments, and I would think if we get the $250 that we're supposed to get of those CMAQ funds, we just send that straight to ODOT, and they can check off,
The payment schedule,
yeah,
or
the
readjust the
payment schedule, yeah. yeah.
Will the other funding come from the improvement fund?
We are 200,000 we have with our water, replacement improvement fund, and the rest is, that ARP, request that I put in.
You already put it in?
Yes, yes, and Jim, you sent that up to Tanya, right?
What do we have to do to officially request that $250 from Eastgate? Is there anything there we need to do? I know they said put it in, and Mr. Kinnick said he believed he would get the money for us. What do we need to do to make that happen?
I haven't been involved in that end of things.
Okay.
I guess I should call, Mr. Kinnick and find out.
Can you do that?
The other commissioner, I thought she's the one that sent in that request and things. It was my understanding, I didn't.
I would prefer you talk to Mr.
Okay,
Kinnick
let me
directly
call
since
Mr.
you're
Kinnick,
handling
find out.
this.
Okay, let me find out what's going on with that,
Okay.
yeah.
If you could do that and then report back maybe at the next meeting or whatever, that we at least make contact with him officially
Okay.
through you.
Okay.
Quick question, if the ARPA money, doesn't cover this, is there enough money in the, improvement fund to cover this? And do we have enough of a balance to go forward?
We could, but we're gonna be depleted. So, but there is enough funds there if
To cover the cost?
if we had to, but like I said, we're gonna be depleted substantially. And we did have that, RIF money earmarked for other things.
Good enough.
Okay. Approve the personnel action for the employment transfer of Ms. Elizabeth Jones from the position of TV inspector, grouting crew leader, pay range 7, to the position of treatment plant operator with Trumbull County Sanitary Engineer's Office.
Commissioners, this is just a transfer of a union employee. We had 27 applicants from the outside. This position requires an Ohio EPA wastewater 1 license. None of the people from the outside had the required license. Elizabeth Jones does not have the license as well, so she had taken an OTCO training course to get her ready to take the test. Per this agenda item, we'll give her 18 months to pass the exam. That's what we've done in the past,
Well, to get her license,
to get her.
yeah, because besides passing the test, she also has so many years, so many months of experience. So it'll probably take we estimate about 18 months for her to have the experience and pass the test, to have her actual license.
Good.
And, one of the reasons that we are having such a hard time at filling those, operators, positions at Mosquito is that's a 24-hour operation down there, so the people are working afternoons, midnights, and that sort of thing, and a lot of people just don't wanna be working those midnights and afternoons, and so we have, the previous operator that was here, she went to a lower position job on a sewer crew from pay grade 8 to pay grade 7, just so she didn't have to work shifts. Anyway, that's one of the problems that we run into, but,
If after the 18 months, she doesn't get her class 1, she fails to pass that test, what happens?
So there'd be two routes. We could extend the 18 months, or we could look to move somebody else into that position and move her out.
Is that per the collective bargaining agreement, or is that?
We haven't ran across it yet.
Okay.
I mean, as long as they're testing and getting closer, and we'd rather people just pass the testing, not.
Class 1s are not like class 3s, so you gotta.
No, but
They're still difficult, I'm not saying.
exactly.
Yeah, thank you. To concur with, number 10, concur with Trumbull County Engineer to grant special hauling permits to haul steel coils on Trumbull County roadways requested by the companies listed, PI&I Motor Express and Gero Transportation. Steve?
Commissioners, this is just, routine steel coil permits. There's one for PI&I and two for Gero this week.
Okay. Number 11, to concur with Trumbull County Engineer to grant right-of-way permits requested by the companies listed. The necessary permit fee has been submitted and approval is subject to the companies listed on the permit. W. Luckiewicz, Dominion East Ohio, Proscape Septic, Everstream Solutions.
Again, just routine right-of-way permits. The first and third one are both for driveway. They're filling in the ditch line to, add a driveway in. Dominion East Ohio is to work on a gas line. In Everstream, they are installing some, conduit, PVC conduit with tracer wire. I believe it's for some, fiber optic lines.
Number 12, to concur with Trumbull County Engineer to grant special hauling permits to move overweight equipment over Trumbull County roadways, requested by the companies listed. The necessary permit fee, bond, and insurance have been submitted, and approval is subject to the conditions listed on each permit. Southern Pines Trucking.
Right, Southern Pines Trucking was doing a overweight move from Elwood Engineering right there in Hubbard, right onto 80. It's just a short stretch, but it is on a county road, so they needed a permit from us to get over there.
Number 13, authorize Trumbull County Engineer to revise the bridge load limit reduction weight limit on the highway structure listed and express as coded truck type weight limit in tons. Post 2 axle 5, 3 axle 5, 4 axle 5, 5 axle 5, 6 plus axle 5.
This is the green number 19 bridge. It's on York Street, just west of State Route 46. MS Consultants was performing your annual inspection, and, the engineering judgment, they decided that that should be posted at 5 ton. Gary Schaefer has applied for grant money, and that will be done in fiscal year 25, which is next summer, July of 24, to replace the steel beams and deck in that bridge. We knew it was coming up, and when got funding in place.
Okay, before we move on from you, can you give an update on the storm from this weekend? How it affected your department?
Oh, I think we only had a couple calls for service, correct, Herb?
Well, trees down, not sure what the locations were, but
There was one on North River and,
North River, there was,
just east of Elm, or just east of Elm Road. We got plenty of calls on that. That was something that you guys handle, or do you guys, what happens with that when a tree falls?
That would be the highway department. I don't know if it's in wires, we can't handle that. If
Okay.
it's something that's, you know, a tree not involving wires or whatever, they call us on our road, we definitely come out and move it off the road. But I don't know, you know, what, I do believe the highway department had said they only had a couple calls on Saturday, so.
All right, let's skip ahead to 21, if we could, for a second, since we have you guys.
thank you, Commissioner, I'll entertain this one. Last week, we submitted a sick leave, and vacation conversion plan to the commissioners. They voted on it and approved it, appreciate that. However, after the fact, we found out through the prosecutor's office that there may be an issue with our language. More specifically, we had a requirement that you had to have 25 years of service to qualify, and even though OPRS had that listed on its website as something you could do, we found out after the fact, no, you're allowed to do that, so we had to change the requirements. We took the 25-year requirement off, and we added that any employee, to qualify would have to have minimum balance of sick leave and vacation. And sick leave balance is 1,040 hours, and the vacation balance is 520 hours. And it's my understanding that our office has been working with the prosecutor and the auditor's office and payroll, and everybody was on board that that was gonna be acceptable to OPRS. So we'd like to submit those changes, to the board.
So instead of the years of service, we're gonna go by amount of hours that somebody has. Do you have that many people that have 520 hours of vacation leave?
Approximately 6.
Wow. Why do they take vacation?
So it's, we're kind of rewarding our more senior employees.
But they're only gonna get 40 of those hours, they're still gonna lose 480 of them if they don't use them?
Could you,
Well, 'cause it's, you're requesting only, they can only use 40 hours of that time? that they can only cash in 40 hours.
They can cash it in and or they could use it.
But if I'm saying that you said you have that, 6 people that have 520 hours of vacation hours banked, but they're only gonna be able to cash in 40 of those hours
Under
through
the
this
plan.
conversion plan,
Yeah.
so they would basically be losing 480 hours.
It would still stay in their bank
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
could use. So they're not losing it per se, so we're not deducting that money off of them, and you can feel free to stop me at any time. So it'll just stay there in their bank. They're only allowing them to convert the 40 hours into money.
Okay, suppose they can do 40 this year, 40 next year, 40 the next year.
Whatever the plans.
Or whatever the
go
thing
forward,
is.
correct.
And then at retirement, they would be able to cash it all in and take it with them.
That's limited as well per the,
The vacation
Yeah.
and the sick leave
Correct.
has formulas.
Okay.
Pay a portion of it.
or they could
Actually,
take their
it mirrors ours, the one,
time.
40 and 80, for the commissioners.
But they have to have this.
It does, well, yes and no. Yes, it mirrors the sick leave at 80 and 40, correct. However, I'm gonna be quite honest here, none of the other plans dictate that we need to have 1,040 hours to be able to partake in the program. But that is a elected official program, so if that's what they plan to do and OPERS is willing to accept it, then that's what we have to do.
So we still have to see if that's legal. It's kinda just a different way around the system. Instead of having that many years, that's what they probably would have if they have that many years. It's gonna rule out a lot of the employees that don't have that much time.
Yeah, it's, hopefully it's gonna accomplish our goals, acceptable to OPRS.
If I'm gonna have it ready after the vote tomorrow, if I could get board to sign it right away, 'cause there's a time limit, so I wanna get that back to the highway engineer's office. The 31st is the deadline in March,
Right.
so I wanna get that to them quickly. So I'll
But the
have it with-
prosecutor has it now. They're working that out.
No, the prosecutor has nothing to
They
do
don't
with
have
it.
it yet?
I cannot give it to you all to sign till it's voted and passed tomorrow, but the deadline is March 31st, so I wanna give it to the highway, engineers department or Ms.
So we
Alex.
can't get an opinion beforehand tomorrow
They
to
don't,
see if
they
they'll...
don't give opinions on these per se.
The conflict of interest,
Yeah.
because they represent both the engineers
Yeah,
department as
yeah,
well as the board of
there's no-
commissioners.
It's just.
So who do we have to find out from, whether it's legal or not?
OPERS.
Well,
So
whether
we'll submit the
OPRS
plan.
will accept it, right?
Once they,
Essentially, that's what it is.
If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't.
But we'll still have it signed and move it forward
You're
to-
just basically not doing the 25 years, you're doing the hours accumulated,
Exactly.
and seeing if it gets accepted.
Yeah. If it doesn't, we can, live with that. Come back next year.
I can.
So if it doesn't, you don't have a plan B to open up to everybody, you just will scrap the program?
No plan B right now.
Okay.
And then,
That's-
Commissioners, while we're on this, if I may interject,
Yes.
Zach, at the, Metro Parks, yeah. So their plan is also going to have to be redone. So we just found out this morning in talks with Penny, that their contract was denied through or the conversion was denied through OPERS. It's just a verbiage change, and the statutory literally says that you cannot list anybody by name, and he did list himself as a name. So we just need to have him revise that to say Metro Parks on behalf of the Metro Parks Department, not by name. So when we have all those rules here, he will quickly have to amend that, we'll have to vote on it again tomorrow, and then we will have to resubmit it again to OPERS.
something I'll get for an amendment to add. That's no problem, just, I know, no problem. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I'm coming on after this, so I'm just
No,
No, I
trying to
understand.
kind of pick up, to make sure that the board is,
Well, it's good this was caught before the 31st, so nobody ends up
Correct.
getting left behind if you can avoid that. That takes care of pretty much all the departments in this program. We received something from everybody. This is the last one.
the rest have been submitted, and we are on track for our March 31st deadline, correct?
Okay, back to number 14 and 15, we're gonna skip that for right now. We'll come back to that at the end. Number 16, authorize Denny Malloy, President of the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners, to execute on behalf of Trumbull County the open-end equity lease rate quote as submitted by Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc., DBA as Enterprise FM Trust, and Strongsville for the lease of two 2023 Chevy Traverses in the amount of $506.55 each per month for a 36-month period for the use by TAG Law Enforcement Task Force. Subject to review by the prosecutor's office. They replaced a couple of vehicles, and
Yes,
Mr. Yanucci.
we currently have 2 lease vehicles, one of which has expired. They are open-ended leases, so we can carry those on as long as we want to. The market with vehicles has been a little lately, gently. We do have equity in the 2 current leases. That money has been rolled into the new lease agreements on the low end though, so there's a chance those payments may be a little bit less than what is stated. I did forward this agreement and a cover letter to Mr. Danzo. He reviewed it. Total cost of the lease is under the $50,000 threshold, which eliminates competitive bidding. He's still gonna look into it and get us an answer. All I need is to go ahead and get those ordered, because windows to order these, we've tried to do this before. The windows to execute the lease are small, and what happens is the longer we drag it on, the closes, and then
Talk a little bit about, why it's, I love this program for TAG, because you got these unmarked cars that you.
well, it helps us in a couple ways. On a personal level, I'm not a big fan of leasing, but in a situation like this, it works out well because we get to cycle vehicles through. And we're kind of hard on our vehicles, so the maintenance isn't as great because we're getting rid of them, with low miles on them. But also, the people who we're dealing with,
Right.
they're familiar with us. Not only us personally, our faces, but they know what we drive.
Right.
So being able to change these vehicles out occasionally every 3 years or so, really comes in.
That's what really factored into it. I think you guys and TAG and, the other Trumbull Solid Waste are the only ones that use the lease program at one time. And it's still very beneficial for you guys and them because of the vehicles you're getting, but at one time, we signed up right when we were getting those great deals. And we built that equity in those vehicles and we're able to get this lower price on the lease.
Right,
Good.
and the 2 vehicles that we got quotes on, they're on the cheaper end of what we can get. It's not like we're trying to grab getting what we're driving. This is market today.
Right.
How many miles a year do they give you on this?
There's no cap.
Oh, no cap, unlimited miles on that?
Yep.
That is a good deal then.
Yeah, so we're good.
Okay, so hopefully the prosecutor will get back with you.
Yes, I did
potentially.
get an email from him while I was sitting here, but I didn't take the time to, but I know we are under the threshold. They're part of state purchasing, told by our rep that they use Sourcewell, who I believe maybe Mr. Masaki. I think we're gonna be okay to move forward.
Yeah, there was one time when we had enterprise under the state national program, many years ago.
But I think now it's Sourcewell.
Yeah. I think they were then too.
Okay.
When you say generically state purchasing, it's, nationally advertised program.
Okay. We'll know that, I guess, when we hear from Bill, and then.
I will forward the email I got, from Mr. Danzo to Paula.
Please do. Okay. Number 17, notify Ohio Department of Liquor Control that a public hearing is not requested on liquor permit application listed. Oaxaca Taco. A new permit there. Okay, number 18. Number 18, we're gonna hold off on too for right now, Patty, if that's okay with you. That way we can clear out the rest of the business, because we have, in pursuant to 14 and 15, I think we have executive session on that also, that we're gonna do. Number 19 and 20 then are not pertinent, so we get to that point. Our timeframe, we're good there. So the only ones we didn't do are the fourteen, 15, and then 18, 19, 20. So that concludes the regular general business, that we'll have to take care of tomorrow. See, for the good of the order, Do you have anything from department heads first?
Yeah, Commissioners, I submitted, a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ARP applications for the water and sewer projects. Total is somewhere around $2 million. And Jim asked, a few weeks ago, after the first 3 were put in, if he has, approval to send it to Tanya for review. And I'm wondering, Jim, are you able to send the next 5?
Only if the commissioners.
Yeah, he needs that
Did you already
in
send them to
public.
Tanya? Most of the ones I saw looked like you already sent them to her.
No, there was just a cover letter that had her name on it.
Okay.
They got submitted to Jim, and they're
Okay.
sitting with Jim, and I'm wondering if Jim, if you'll request that you send them up to Tanya.
Just to the side.
I would say, yeah, we send them to Tanya. Before we start cutting more checks, we need to have this ARPA meeting, which,
Okay.
Commissioner Frenchco said she volunteered to do 2 weeks ago. When I asked her last Wednesday at the meeting, she said she didn't think she had everything she needed. I said I'd give her 1 more week to plan it. So we'll
Okay.
see if she shows up tomorrow and plans it. If not, then I'll plan an ARPA meeting, a special meeting, I'll request. And then we will go over the categories with Mr. Masaki and invite anyone who has pending grants at that time to come in. And as Commissioner Frenchco said last week, she'd like to appropriate $7 million, to go to the outer townships. And I stated earlier, I'd like 7.5, or half of what we had at that time. But we need to fine tune that number to come up with some type of a formula before we spend the rest of it. Now, $2 million, that's not, outrageous, you have, these are all good projects. But we do have a couple of them that are pending, I think, that we did send already, one of them being the EMA vehicle. And then, one we did for Mesopotamia, and I know we've got some other ones we'd like to move forward on.
The March Tower.
Yeah.
So there are some things there, once we know that, but there's no harm in sending it to Tanya to have her
Yeah,
review to see if
just to
it's
check
gonna qualify or
the
not.
legalities, yes.
And then
Yeah.
when we decide, then we can act immediately on those if we've already got the opinion from her.
Well, this is the letter you sent a couple weeks ago, so does that reflect the same thing?
No, this is the new list that I have. That one's way back then.
227 is not way back.
I don't remember having, oh, okay.
So I'm
You
saying,
didn't take it out in color, okay. But I marked the ones that are already that I've already completed and submitted. Okay, those are the highlighted ones. And when I sent this, I hadn't sent this one yet. So the ones submitted are these.
when you say submitted, you mean in what?
It's sent to the county projects email,
Right.
county projects,
But,
okay?
yeah, we did ask Tanya for a couple opinions, I don't remember.
Yeah,
exactly.
and we did the first 3
Okay.
here.
So which
So-
ones,
so-
which
so-
ones
so
are
we need-
remaining,
This one, okay, so
so the
these
commissioners know?
3 were submitted to Tanya. Oh, it is this one.
Well,
and then
don't say
this
that,
one.
say,
Yeah, this one.
verbalize it.
Oh, okay, it is, Braceville Champion Water Improvements to Design Engineering. And this is to connect the Champion Bezetta District to the Braceville District with that line down State Road. There's approximately, 56 properties along that route, but this will allow us to get rid of that chlorine, that, disinfectant byproduct problem we're having out there with the Newton waters, with the Newton Falls water that we're having out in Braceville. We'll be able to use Warren water to feed that system and be able to regionalize it too. I also submitted this to WSRLA, and for the construction, I'm hoping to get a large principal forgiveness award for that, to make that problem happen, to make that project happen, because it's a big regionalization factor on this one.
So if we don't get that,
But I need the engineering,
just start.
come heck or high water, we need this design engineering, and I would like to get that started. I mean, the next one that I
Well, how
had,
much was that for?
300.
$350,000 to cover the design engineering contract.
You got 300,000 on here.
Mine's showing 350. Braceville,
Number six, is that?
yeah, number six, we're on number six.
Yeah, and 300,000.
Saying 300,000 on here.
What's, all right, actually, it's been updated then.
Okay,
Extra
now
copy,
it's
Gary?
350.
Yes, after I looked at the copy of that in September.
Quit giving us copies, Gary.
Okay.
Price keeps going up.
All right, now the next one is the Scoville Drive Sanitary Sewer Project, and the one below that is Smith Stewart. And as you know, these are two, sewer projects in Vienna. They were assessment projects. They're small extensions, but we're looking at assessments of over $200 a front foot. I tried to get an OPWC grant for each of these. I've tried to get principal forgiveness for them. They just don't qualify. The only way we're gonna be able to help these people and get, sanitary sewer service to them affordably is to use the ARP funds. I've exhausted every other avenue that I have on it.
So in other words, if these people were to connect, they would be looking at $200?
If we don't use ARP funds, I asked for $350 for.
If we use the ARP funds, what would their assessment be?
I got it down to $75 a foot.
Good.
So that's what I,
Very important.
targeted
to realize that.
those numbers, yes. Instead of $200 a front foot for sewer, it's $75. And in the applications, you'll see, I actually sent pictures showing that black water and the ditches out there. I mean, it's a declared health nuisance by the health department also. So, I've exhausted every other,
You're still asking
funding
that
source here.
amount.
I have $350 for Scoville and $335 for Smith Stewart's. Yeah, so, okay. Ones, they're adjusted a little bit off of what you had on that original spreadsheet. But the ones I put in was for $350 for Scoville, $335 for Smith Stewart.
Mhm. Those are the three, along with,
Yeah.
Braceville.
Yeah, well, these are the two in Vienna.
Okay,
Then the next one is that State Line Road project out there on,
so there's four.
yeah, well,
Kind
and then McKinley Heights is already submitted too. So anyway, go to State Line. I'm asking for $90,000 there, and these are these 6 houses out there on State Line Road where Pennsylvania's on the other side of the street. People in Pennsylvania already have sewer through Pennsylvania through their backyards. These people are stuck out there on an island of their own. There's no sewer service available. Have a median household income of, I wrote it in the application, I don't have it with me, but I think it's less than $35,000 a year. So we got six houses out here that can't get sewer, and I'm just asking for $90,000. And this one I was going to, finance the remainder of it with a monthly capital charge of $30 a month. Okay? And it's just $90,000 to be able to bring some, much needed relief to these residents out here.
Okay with submitting all of them to the,
Okay, and the next one I have is at McKinley Heights Phase 3.
but you've already,
Yeah,
have you submitted that?
yeah, that went to the county projects, and I'm looking for design engineering there also. I'm asking for $350,000 for the design engineering. And I also plan to submit this one as our OPWC project this coming round, for the construction of it, but it's going to be more points if we already have the design engineering complete before I submit those
What
in the
about
fall.
the submittal for the Diamond Interchange? Payment plan, use ARP to help fund it.
Yeah, that's already been sent up to, Tanya. That's one of the ones Jim,
Oh, it's one of the ones
that's
up
one of the ones Jim asked you for up here. These first
I don't
three
see it.
yellow ones.
Oh, okay.
That's
Gotcha.
number two. So that's already been submitted to Tanya for eligibility,
Okay.
okay?
So right now, we've done a little over $4 million in ARP for water and sewer.
Yes, I've been allocated
That's been
$4 million, yes, and these applications are going to, the ones that are listed here are going to total another 1,977 plus 950 for a total of $6.8 million altogether, all funds to water and sewer since the inception.
If all of these were to get funded, you're saying that we
Yes.
would now be at 6.8?
Yes, yes, and the reason I highlighted these is these are the ones that are the most critical to me right now, that I have timelines I have to meet.
Jerry, can you prioritize those numerically?
Well, that's basically what these numbers are over here. See here? Item priority. Now, the ones highlighted are all the ones I intend to submit right now before we go into this meeting and all this other stuff. The other ones can wait. So these ones I highlighted are ones that are time sensitive that we need desperately. And the last one that's highlighted there, that last orange one, this is a countywide, sanitary lateral assistance program. And I'm working with the planning commission on this one.
That's gonna address
And I just
I&I.
sent them some stuff yesterday, they're reviewing it before I actually write the application.
Is that gonna address the I&I issue?
No, that's not the I&I issue. This is people where the sewer is out there and they can't afford to get connected to it. We're talking areas where the Little Squaw 5 interceptor went in, there's still some,
People that
stragglers out there in Belmont Park. There's six of them are in the village of West Farmington. They didn't, Emily didn't have enough money to connect them all out there, so there's six more in West Farmington that we would like to help with this. State Road just completed, Emily already has 5 on her waiting list for State Road in Champion. We haven't even, I have a list of, did I bring that with me? No, I didn't. But there's a list of 35 properties that are on her waiting list for for financial assistance. Qualify, but she just doesn't have the funds to do it. So the idea here is to clear her list and have funds for these people on State Road out there. And even though we're gonna send letters out to all 35 of these properties that aren't connected, we don't think they're all going to be eligible. And we would like to just have that, it's about 10,000 per connection, so I'm asking for 60 connections, 10,000 apiece. And we also have Yankee Lake coming up, that's Scoville Drive, that's Smith Stewart Road, and that's State Line. They're gonna need assistance getting connections too. So if we're able to clear her waiting list and have money in reserve, I think with this and future rounds of that HSTS grant, that we'll be able to cover everybody in this county who's financially eligible to be able to get connected to that sewer, which is a total, I'm estimating about 60 connections, and that's why I'm asking for the 600,000. But that application isn't in yet, it's over there with Julie and Emily right now, they're reviewing it before I submit it.
For everyone that doesn't know, one of the first things that came out when the ARP rules and regs came out, what you can use it on was water and sewer projects, because those have a lasting impact. They're not just gonna help for a year or two, it's gonna help almost in perpetuity, so, I think these are worthwhile projects, they fall directly under the scope of that.
Yeah,
And, I'm good with getting an opinion on it.
okay, all right.
I agree.
All right, so when I do send the application in for the LMI for the, connections, is Jim already authorized to send it up to Tanya for that one, the one I just described to you?
The
Yeah,
countywide service
yeah,
lateral?
they're all submitted so far except for the countywide service lateral.
I'm fine with that too, because it's
Okay.
gonna help a lot of individuals that
Right.
otherwise can't tie into this.
Yeah, and I mean, this is dollar for dollar benefit, right out of their into their pockets.
Right.
You know, this isn't, monument, it's, you
No
know, somebody
offense to any
might
of
go
that,
through that
but
sort of thing, I mean,
You're right, there is.
this is money,
And
this is
I
money
guess
money in
straight into
people's
their.
pockets.
I guess my answer would be just a little different, just because I don't wanna blanket approve anything until we have it in writing or we
Yeah.
can review it. So I would say when that's ready, bring it back to us and then we'll send it to Jim, but I don't wanna just give a blanket approval that, go ahead and send it directly and we'll
Okay.
approve it.
Okay.
I don't think that's right.
Okay,
Can I make a couple copies of that?
yeah, they have cleaner, they already wrote on there too.
Yeah, I'll bring it right back. I'll
Okay.
just go make one for Mr.
Okay.
O'Donoghue and print it out. Right back.
Well, he has
simplest thing to show geographically.
Yeah, Gary, we wanna, if you can, and I know it's highlighted
Something
here,
simplistic.
a map where all these townships are being benefited.
Okay,
It's one thing to see them in a column here, but if we see it on a map, it might, I think that's,
Okay.
that is very beneficial. If you can-
all right, okay.
'cause that can speak to a lot. If and when we have this meeting, we can show that, you know, where these
Yeah, like
individuals are benefiting.
Warren Township, you're right there, that whole Meadowbrook area.
Oh,
We've
sure.
already allocated $1.5 million to Warren Township out there for that sewer project.
Right.
You know,
And.
Well, that'll show us where the gaps and holes are and where we can, in our minds, future planning.
yeah, Weathersfield with, that McKinley Heights project and, what was that other one that was on there? Oh, the Heat and Shoot project.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we put $571,000 into Heat and Shoot in Weathersfield.
'Cause I'm still getting,
Yeah.
probably the most popular phone call that I get over the
Okay.
last month and a half has been from people that are getting sued by the health department or on notice from the health department, they need to upgrade their septic, and then their answer is, we talked to Gary, supposedly there's help on the way, supposedly there's some money coming for this or that.
And-
So it's kind of we're spending money on the health department chasing these people down to upgrade, but at the same time, we may be already trying to help them in another way, and it'd be nice, I don't know how you back and forth with the health department regarding this, but if we get the health department to back off some of these people and adjust their work in other areas, and, I mean, why waste their time going after someone that we're gonna solve the problem in the next 6 months to a year anyway?
Exactly.
You know, that's something that,
And you work with the health department on that.
Oh,
And
yeah,
they're aware of all
yeah.
the upcoming projects.
Yes, they are, and they are aware of, this, program that Julie and I are trying to execute here.
and I've had a few people reach out
Okay.
just to stress the anxiety they have on them is,
Okay,
they feel the pressure that they should upgrade and pay for something now, but then they're worried, what happens next year when you come in and run sewer, then we're gonna have to pay again. And I wanna do everything we can to alleviate the pressure on people, let them know we're trying to not be big brother, bad guy,
Yeah.
making them do something. If there's, the plan, I'd love to have sewer for everybody.
right.
But the bottom line is, we can't do it all at once, and there are some people that are gonna be caught in that situation, but if we have a plan heading in that direction, I'd rather we not scare them into submission or whatever if they don't need to be.
Okay,
And I know, it's in flux right now, but that number one project with Scott Street is still something that needs to be addressed. I know that we're still
Yeah.
working through that with the city manager, and it's gonna benefit those people in Newton Township immensely.
yes,
Um,
and,
Consent decree project that
Yes.
has to get done.
yes,
So, that's another one that's on the horizon.
right.
I know we're still working out the details there, but
Yeah.
we're gonna have to do what we can to make that project.
Yeah, that Scott Street project, I think I mentioned to you that we were looking at perhaps contributing $300,000 toward getting the people connected out there after it's built.
Right.
But, they are asking us to connect everybody. And that's just something that I don't think would be fair to, other people in this county.
No.
If you qualify by income, I recommend that we do connect them like we do everybody else. We go above and beyond and connect, commercial establishments, rental properties, very wealthy people. I think that's just going above and beyond, and
And
so
it's
anyway, that's what I sent down to Pam Pretty last week. And I came up with, I talked to Julie Green, and we are looking at, HSTS income thresholds, which are actually much higher than what the CDBG thresholds are. And it would actually allow people that make up to $83,000 a year to be eligible. For a family of one to four people, 83,000 a year, you're still eligible. We estimate that,
Hopefully those people that weren't eligible would be eligible under this.
yes, yes,
And, yeah, communities can't be short-sighted because a community like Newton Falls only customers.
yes, yes.
And if, again, if you need a meeting, to sort of
Yeah.
negotiate this and to talk about.
Well, I sent some stuff down to the village manager there, I'm waiting for her to respond back before I bring something back to you about the Scott Street thing.
Okay,
And if you read the papers, we may not get an answer on that real quick.
I know, I think
Yeah,
she's just,
unfortunately, I
I
know it's
think
been
she's
flush.
distracted with something else right now, so.
So, can't control that, I guess.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Yes, sir, Newt?
One thing I think I failed to mention, regarding my agenda item, those payments are made through grant funding. So our drug law grant that we apply for every year, our lease would be a no cost to the county as long as the funding continues.
Awesome, thank you.
Beth?
Either tomorrow or next Wednesday, I'll come before, the county commissioners as our annual report and our brand new district. Waiting on those to be delivered, I'm not sure when that will be, but you'll see us, and we'll just talk in public comment, so you don't have to put us on the.
Great.
Yeah.
And I did bring up last week when you weren't here, last Saturday, in the county, there wasn't a hotel room to be had, and I had a few friends from Columbus that paid $330 at the Hampton and Niles for the last room they had available.
When we're booked, bring them when we don't have anybody else.
Well, I'm just saying, there is something good is going on in Trumbull County when you have every hotel room booked up in the county.
I think it was the, last weekend was the wrestling tournament, we get overflow from Youngstown,
Right.
the Big Valley Center.
There's a lot more than that, a lot more than just wrestling families that were there, so it is something that, I guess in a sense, we should be proud of that we have that many people want to stay here,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I think we're in need of more hotels down the road too, as more stuff
I was in a
happens.
Liberty meeting a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking, there's some potential opportunity, another hotel that maybe. I haven't gotten anything official, but there's some talk at least, which is.
Yes, sir.
I'm just, on from Kinston Township and kind of representing our police department. It's, application for ARP funding for the police garage. The status updates on that.
Yeah, there were 2 applications submitted from Kinsman Township, and I guess what I'd like to see from you guys is prioritize one over the other, and whichever one you prioritize, I'd like to move forward over to legal, on behalf of the township. But at this time, I don't think it's fair to push them both that way, but if you you have a preference?
The other one is power cuts.
No, that
That's more
one's
of a
already been
regional thing,
submitted,
yeah.
we already did that last week.
One was for 200, one was for 100.
Yeah, if you have the, master.
So my papers are all out of whack here.
We're just in a, maybe not a, put bids out now for the building, finally got that.
And Mr. Masaki, the ones, when you were absent last week, we moved a couple forward. One was Cortland Playground, the other was the cots for the, fire department.
Yeah.
You got those messages moving forward?
Yeah, from the clerk.
Very good, thank you, Paula.
May I have your name, sir, for the record?
It's Bruce Bancroft.
Was it trustee and Kinsman?
Thank you so much, I appreciate
Some to
that.
me, one was more expensive, 200. I think one was for 200, one was for 100.
Yeah, but whichever project is better priority.
What was the other project?
What was the other project? Do you remember?
I'm not sure,
But it was submitted on behalf of the town?
the, police chief submitted online.
Okay.
You don't have it in
For a
your,
new police.
in your chart there under
I
Kinsman
got
Township?
too many papers that I forwarded, and I don't have them in. I don't have the last one.
Is there a way Sheriff can look that up in Munis or anything? Is that it?
Let me see what I got here. There were 200,000 for Kingsman Township Garage to store vehicles
That's
and
the one.
equipment.
So that's the same project.
And then the other one said 100,000 for 40 by 70 for police township vehicles and equipment. Total cost $358 with donations and fundraising efforts of $158.
When in doubt.
So they submitted it both ways?
So you're prioritizing the Kinsman Township Garage?
Aren't they both?
Well, the store vehicles and equipment for government.
One says more for police, one says for other vehicles.
We have 2 projects.
One project. I
It's
think
one project,
the
okay.
first project he might have submitted,
prior.
last year prior.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, 'cause they are basically saying the same
So
thing.
we talked to Frank on that one.
Okay.
Once we've got a soft quote on the project, just under 400,000
Yeah, 358.
for this project.
And you got 158 covered.
We sold our old building, Friends of Kinsman fundraisers.
So you got 200,000
We can
pending.
move forward on that.
I'm fine to move it forward.
Yeah, let's move it forward with Kinsman.
Yep.
Okay.
So we scratch that other one.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Right.
Duplication.
And then we could pick an amount, maybe even in the middle or something if we need to. Let's,
Yeah, you can just decide how much you want
But
to.
in the meantime, we got the legal opinion.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes. Patty, with your instance here, let's go to, item number
We don't want, that'll be an executive.
18, 19, 20.
That's just for tomorrow.
Right.
Tomorrow only.
So we'll just discuss that just tomorrow.
That's not what I want to speak on.
Right. I'm just clarifying things here in our thing.
So I have a few matters.
Yes.
I'm gonna piggyback right on with everyone else on ARPA funding. Mr. Misaki, I have submitted 2 requests officially. To the board on March 9th, I gave you the federal engineering quote. That is the consultant firm that I have met with twice now on a potential direction for a new 911 center. First and foremost, we have to get a consultant report done. We have to get an analysis of our needs before we can even know what Trumbull County needs in a new 911 center. That being said, being that this was issued while I was on vacation, it was dated for work, the scope of work of any commitment of the county dated through March 1st. So first and foremost, we would have to get a new quote from this company. In my request to you on March 9th, I asked if we had to, based on they have a very firm price of $26,000 for this first phase. Is that something that we need to put out to, I don't know where the funding would come for this to even get started. If it is an ARPA application, I need to submit it. If it's, I need to go for additional quotes from other consultant firms, I need to get it. But we need to get something underway to even begin at looking at a new 911 center, in addition to knowing where we're going. So that is my plea to the board right now as where we are, because I've not had any response from you on that. Secondary, again, Mr. Misaki, I submitted the 2 applications, one for the Vesta phone equipment and the other for Motorola radio equipment. We do not have a backup center. That is something that Warren City was supposed to be when we incorporated them into our, facility right now. We have nothing that if we were to go down, this last weekend, perfect example, if we were to go down completely, lose all commercial power like we had before, the generator could have failed us in the interim of us getting the new one. We have no redundancy in place. We never have. That is hugely concerning and has been for me since my employment with 911, but certainly now. So that being said, is there any way to earmark money for 911 through the ARPA funds, as again, the original one through, for the Vesta system, which is our phone call answering system? I understand, Jim, that has been approved.
Mhm.
The secondary to that would be then our radio equipment, for, again, the purpose of having a hot backup. That was just submitted. Is there any way that that can get the same kind of, like, under the same umbrella of approval? Or does that have to, again, get an approval from you guys to go forward
That's
to
go
get an
forward from
opinion?
you, yeah.
I'm fine to send it off to legal and see if we can do it. As far as getting the quotes for, if that quote is expired for that other, for the feasibility or
Right.
whatever we need, whatever they're gonna deem, is for 911. Talk a little bit about why it's important for 911 and why it's so
They will come in and
specialized.
do an actual analysis on.
Because you
how-
do need certain requirements in your building
I
to
don't-
house 911.
to know how many dispatchers we even need during the critical hours, the staffing, our seats, our consoles, our
Right.
positions, all of that. They will, take every data piece that we can provide them, and we're upside down in this county. In speaking to, I fielded a couple, not complaints if you will, but addressments about this last weekend. I gave you guys a synopsis of where we were. We fielded 1,075 calls in total, just in an 8-hour period. And I'm sure there were
were more that didn't even come to us, they rolled over. I was told yesterday when I QA'd some of my people, we had Northern 911 calling. We don't even know where that is. We Googled it and we're like, it shows something to be in Canada. So, I mean, rollovers were going to places that we aren't even familiar with. That being said, though, the analysis that they can provide us is showing us how we are completely upside down in our call volume here in the county. Our non-emergency numbers turn 200 and some thousand calls a year versus our emergency 911, which is what we are state mandated to answer in 10 seconds or 15 seconds now or less. We are 80,000, I believe, for last year. That's emergency 911. Our non-emergencies bring exuberantly more, and that's where we're upside down. That is, again, what they can give professional advice on where they have consolidated other centers throughout the United States and have experience with this, to lead us in a direction to right this ship. And that is just, that's our operational needs. This isn't even looking at tower needs or stuff like that, where they have heavily worked with Governor DeWine's office in this kickoff initiative for the Next Gen 911. Federal Engineering is who they partnered with. So, I mean, as well as the Ohio Administrative 911, my director that I speak to routinely, they routinely, work with Federal Engineering. So that is why I was led with them to go that direction, and that's why I, again, just come to you to find out how do we get this going forward.
What was the original quote? How much?
29,651.
I guess my two thoughts with it would be, first, with the governor doing his unveiling here and with the next gen things, have we talked to anybody, in administrative services, the lady that was here with us, or that's handling that, as far as, is there grant money available yet for us to even look at the federal engineering? Or is there something where we get assistance from the state via grants? There's gotta be some type of aid out there other than ARPA. I know EMA-wise, there's a lot of different grants that
He and I
that you get.
have even worked together in looking for something previous to current today. No, there has not been. That's not to say that, again, if we can reach out to the people that were here from DeWine's office and add that to the plight of funding for the new 911
Right.
center, and our radio communications. That also, the Brookfield Tower, where are we with that? Because I have just been on several phone calls. We had zero communication with Fowler Fire on Saturday. Zero. That included cell phones, because we could not even get out of our place with cell phones. They couldn't reach me, I couldn't reach them when I was there. They had to go to their own station and dispatch themselves. We could drop their tone, let their fire chief sat at their station and relayed everything from their unit.
Well, Mr. Miller's gonna call
Coming
or
Thursday,
be
or
here
call or
Thursday.
Oh, Dick Miller?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's,
Yeah, part of the issue we had, Commissioner and I were trying to see with the visit from the state, whether or not they could offer some additional assistance financially to
I
us.
contacted those ladies from the state,
right,
from Marks, and, Jim and I both did, and we're trying to, as you said, we talked about the tower, we talked about our new 911, all these things we're facing here, there's the study, and if there's any assistance from, because they were gonna go 50-50 on the equipment and the infrastructure.
yeah.
But we're trying to see if we can get more funding out of the state, because it is a immediate hardship for the county. So that's where we're at, and Mr. Miller's gonna have a conference call with myself and Mr. Masaki on Thursday.
So we'll see if there's anything else they can do.
If there isn't, we need to proceed.
Yeah, we just need to move forward.
But-
It's now up to $875,000
But in my
for our share.
Right, but in my conversations with the March representatives when DeWine was here, they indicated that there could be some potential funding out there to help with even the equipment, which was our end of it. And, I wanted to exhaust that option before I used all ARP money. And it's just been a long, exhaustive process, but I know that safety is tantamount, but we're trying to get as much money as we can.
And I guess what I just want some clarity on, when we were here in this room, for the last meeting with Dick Miller, he stated about, again, once the funding source was secured, so they know that it was for sure going forward, there's still that lead time
Sure.
of 200 and some days. Has that clock started yet, or are we still waiting?
No, because they actually didn't even send a proposed agreement until the first of March. They changed legal counsel the first of the year. They came forward, I sent it to Danzo, we've kind of discussed it as far as it goes. I mean, you know, the problem with that is everything is always, when you're dealing with federal government, state government, there's a time lag for all of that too, so their proposed agreement didn't even get here till March.
So then we're even yet, our 200-day of...
No, that's why we need to have this meeting to get something moving. And we have to have a commitment for the 875 before they'll move forward. So we're willing to do that.
Potentially more is what we're trying to get, is maybe all the funding.
I just, again,
So it's a fine balance where you're trying to get additional funding, but you just have to sometimes just move forward and say, here it is, and then if we get it, that's fine, if not,
And I guess that is my position
that's
on
where
them,
we're at.
so they can get started on getting the equipment even found, because they said...
Well, those have to go out for bids.
And then, again, as he explained though, it's the availability of the equipment. I mean, he even talked about the storage shed, how they
Oh,
were
yeah.
over a year. So I guess this is again where, on this scale, I understand the concern and the fight and the legal battle of all of it, but again, it's the safety services of it, where our dispatchers sit there with zero communications when we have a structure fire or, you know, someone with a heart attack during these critical times where they don't have any communication. So that's where, again, it's really bad.
Well, in light of what you're telling us, what has recently transpired in Fowler, you know, after the Thursday meeting, we're gonna have clarity one way or another, we gotta move forward. Whether it's gonna be, you know, 100% funded by the state, or it's gonna be 50-50, whatever it is, but the commissioners have to do their due diligence too, financially, to make sure that we're getting as much money as we possibly can for it before we exhaust any ARPA money. So, but
Or general
safety
fund.
or general fund. But safety is obviously tantamount to all this, but we have a financial responsibility too, so we're trying to balance those two things, obviously.
I completely understand, and me just being in the liaison between that department and our operations and understanding of it, I just wanted to make sure you heard.
And it's not falling on deaf ears, I appreciate that.
No, we've been trying to move the ball forward.
Okay, guys, thank you.
With as much funding as we can possibly get.
So, back to the Motorola, is that something again?
You know, that's, I'm glad you brought it up, because I've had conversations with Bill Danzo about it. Mr. Danzo from the prosecutor's office is the only one that can give us an opinion. Commissioners, I don't know if they're aware of it or not, is whether or not the proprietary letter we got, I sent that to Danzo. And, haven't had really a chance to respond. But the prosecutor has to give us an opinion as to whether or not the purchasing, there was $500 and some thousand of radio equipment, plus the $201,000 of the vested shares, whether or not they're proprietary, and that these are the only companies that can provide the equipment, therefore we wouldn't need competitive bidding. Sole source, proprietary. There's another section that anytime you're purchasing equipment for the 911 centers, there was an old statutory exemption saying any purchasing not subject to competitive bidding laws. So how, you know, we need the prosecutor to give us the final determination.
Can you write us up an opinion and for that?
Sure.
Because I think it's obviously
A request.
a request for an opinion, so that we find out as soon as
Yeah,
possible.
that's
If
what
it
we
is then she won't have to go out, if it is proprietary
Yes.
source, then she won't have to go out for bid.
And that'll save a lot of time. So the one,
We'll get on
the
that.
last letter we got for the radios, the gentleman was very clear in stating he believes it's a proprietary thing and you can only buy it from Motorola. I'm assuming the same concept should be for the chairs.
For the phone system, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, again, the equipment we are already operating on and using, so it's just additional, I mean, we already are contracted with them, maintenance agreements, everything, it's just the additional.
But we don't know if that went out to bid before, do we?
I can tell you, I know for certain, it was under the exemption clause.
But we don't know if that's correct, that's the bigger issue.
Clearly, that's what I've been met with.
Yeah, you just need a reaffirmation of that.
Okay. We'll send that request for opinion to Danzo and get that to you.
And so finally, then, the only other thing is where do we go, or what is your recommendation for the consultants to?
Well, I think you need the quote, and obviously you need a new quote, but, I would get with Danzo as to whether or not you have to get proposals or whatever from different.
Okay.
It's usually under 50,000, you don't need a.
Well, but our procurement policy is under certain, you still get
Still get the quote.
different.
But at the same time, we're within a month potentially of hiring a director. We wanna wait for the director to be on board. Is a month gonna hurt us to have that person in the process of this thing rather than hearing it, oh, here's what we did last week, and then all of a sudden he or she's there?
Well, I think it just gives him or her another, tool in the toolbox, that once they get here.
But you don't want them to have any input in case maybe they have some experience with some of the stuff, wherever they may come from?
Are there a number of companies that can do this?
I guess that's what that was one of my
There are,
questions.
and we have previously used an engineer that sits on federal engineering, it was, I don't remember the name of the company, MS Consultants is one also, that they have even said that they have, the capabilities of giving us those kinds of feasibility and assessment studies as well. But there was one of the engineers that sits on federal engineering years ago, and I'm talking when I was hired in '99, they had just had an assessment done for 911, and that engineer actually works at federal.
If there are multiple companies like that, if MS can do it in multiple, I think you'd have to get proposals, at least 3 proposals. RFQ. I hate to do that, and that's if the board wants to do that, I'm in favor of it, and I understand that there'd be a new director coming on board, but I think it would be another tool in the toolbox for him or her to use,
I think, but in my opinion, would be I'd rather him pick out the tool.
Okay. Fine with that. Of course.
And when we're this close, to make big things like that, that's gonna involve the whole future of the thing.
Again, being that this is something that I know is, 911 is finally getting like a lot of attention, it seems, and, with the whole new building, I just wanted to make sure that that is something that is definitely needed.
Well, 'cause that study not only talks about how many chairs and how many, it talks about the actual structure of the building and what's needed, for a 911 facility. So, I think that information can't hurt. Actually would be beneficial, but that's where I stand on it.
Just to give you a timeline as far as like posting, so we're down at 4/5, so we have until 4/5 that we're posted through. Then, of course, we'll have to get all those apps reviewed, looked at, and then potentially interviewed, so.
For the director.
I have to be honest with you, May is always a goal, but I mean, we are up against this.
Can you set when the posting's by?
Yep.
When you get them in by, can you work on setting a date
Yeah, so I can give
for
you a
the-
timeline, so that way you can be better informed as
for the
to-
committee to reassemble
Correct.
that we had
Yeah.
before, to screen the applicants?
Absolutely.
And then you can come up with a time frame after that as far as how many you're gonna interview and.
And as they come in, I'm looking at them personally, so we're already at 26 just from last week. So I do anticipate a large pool of applicants this round. We're already at 26, and it's been not even a week, so.
So in talking to your, organization in Columbus and everything, what they recommend?
Yeah. Tom Jackson, he and I have talked. Other 911 directors, and that is always the direction. And again, if you reviewed, they gave you, pages of similar projects that they do and the scope of services, how they go about this. This is definitely the direction for a proper installation of a new.
I stand by what I said, I guess.
I guess I did have one quick question, maybe for Paula. You have a page on here about transfers. Does that mean they'll be on the agenda tomorrow?
Yes, Lisa's waiting for them to be approved from the auditor's office.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause we lost power Saturday, we couldn't VPN in to work, so.
And I just didn't know if Commissioner Norway knows that, because that'll be the first time you've seen the
Yes.
approval for transfers, appropriation increases, and,
That's why I wrote this, there'll be transfers.
These are
Transfer appropriation.
interdepartmental.
Yes,
yeah,
it'll be all.
and I actually emailed this to the board, because I think in the past we've done.
Yes.
But that's just financial transactions from December to March that sanitary needs. I just didn't know if you had any questions before tomorrow, but they're, basically, it's routine can be.
Yeah, I saw the email, I kinda understood it from that.
Okay, perfect.
Quite a few, we'll place those on.
Another question for Paula. So this system is up and operating, will you send out that Zoom contact?
Yes, yeah, I will.
So, was it sent out for this?
Our internet's been down now for 3 days.
Right, yes, I had to make a couple corrections, but I am gonna get out there, so hopefully everyone can enjoy our meeting on.
I had two inquiries tomorrow.
Yes.
I wanted to run by you to see what you know, and one, this is Mr. Harting maybe, but, while we're here discussing it, let me see.
All of them except for the countywide, I'm still waiting on Julie. All the yellow ones.
Totaling 6.2.
Yeah, 6.8 is what I'm up to right now. With these requests here.
We're trying to get recorded by, yeah.
I had an inquiry from a gentleman who owns a counseling center, mental health and substance treatment center, on Woodland and Warren. He said he's interested in a building owned by Trumbull County. The building's been empty for quite some time. He's wondering if it's available for rent or purchase. The address is 1296 Youngstown Warren Road. Know anything about that? We have a building that's vacant or,
1296.
1296 Youngstown Warren Road.
Just wanna look it up.
It says, we're interested in a building owned by Trumbull County. The building's been empty for quite some time. I'm wondering if it is available for rent or purchase. And I had another inquiry again. I talked a couple weeks back about the, Cortland Bank building in Cortland. I got another call yesterday, and, it was recommended to us, the asking price they had before is $850. I got a call yesterday, and they said that they think they would take considerably less than that if we were interested. And the city of Cortland called me yesterday and said if we did, or the county was interested in acquiring it and we had space, they would consider subletting some of the space and subletting some of the parking from the county if we were to acquire it. They like the building, they just don't have enough to fill it, but they would inquire about moving their admin building into that building and subletting it from the county if we were able to get it. The price they're talking about is, they're saying as low as potentially $400,000 to get that building with all the parking and stuff, which would be, I'm not a real estate expert, but it sounds pretty good to me as far as when we're looking at the price of the buildings and location. Having talked to the health department, they said they don't do any work in Warren. If anyone that comes to them from Warren, they refer to the Warren Health Department, so they are a county agency that would, service people. Again, I just wanna ask, what do we need to do to officially look at a building, to officially shop around for a building? I mean, I've had things been said that, well, we have to do a study first, see if we need it on the old building. Secondly, we need to shop around for other buildings, or the request for bids on something like this on buildings. How do you even go about doing it? But the clock's kinda ticking on this thing. This building is there. Potential, the opportunity, I think is tremendous there for us to move the health department in there. But,
Yeah, I think that, obviously, I toured it as well, and that first floor is definitely more than adequate for, and because their programs are growing in the health department, and public health, as we all know, is a growing field, and it's becoming more and more, highlighted thing, because of COVID and what could come in the future, and the readiness that goes along with it, so, I think that first floor would be, ideal for not only current usage for the health department, but when they grow, there'll be room for them to grow. I wasn't aware, of the second floor, that's what I had concerns about, is what would they use that for? And I even talked to Mr. Migliosi, said, we don't have any usage for the second floor, so if the city of Portland were to be, interested in subletting that, that'd be, a great use and an income for the county. The building is, phenomenal condition. It's basically, turnkey and ready to move in. There's not much that needs, a lot of the furniture would stay, but I wasn't on the board when we purchased any building, so it's sort of new to me too. I know that Mr. Masaki
You can purchase, the county can purchase buildings without competitive bidding. Well, obviously, if you're gonna purchase anything, you'd want an appraisal value of the building before you.
Are we obligated to look at different, when the Chemical Bank building, or the Tulmer Bank, whatever it is now, when that was purchased, that was prior to me coming on board, what was the process there? Was it just?
Negotiation, the only other building at that time downtown was the Gibson. That was times higher than what we paid for our. No, it's just whatever the commissioners desire, but, you have to make sure you're getting a fair price.
Sure.
You have to, anything else out there that's competitive basis. But officially, you can buy a building, you can't sell one without competitive bidding.
Or rent one.
Right.
No, I'm fine looking at, did we need to get an appraisal, obviously,
If you're
if we're serious about looking
genuinely
at it.
interested.
I would like to know,
Commercial appraiser.
commercial appraiser, but I would also like to know, the basement, has a lot of potential. Second floor, Portland we need a commitment from the city of Portland that they would be using that space. I don't wanna buy it and then have this empty space
Right.
up there, so, commitment from them to utilize that space, whether it be for their administrative, but, it's a great building, there's plenty of parking. There's not much that needs done, the HVAC and everything is in good working shape toward the entire building, as I believe you did, Commissioner. Went with a lot of the health department board members, but we wanna be as transparent as we possibly can, and we want all the commissioners to see it as well, so I reached out to, talk to the health board, I said, well, all three commissioners have to have the opportunity to go look at it. I believe they're in the process of doing that, because commissioners haven't looked at it. So, I think until that happens, I guess after that happens, or if it doesn't happen, then we can move forward with a plan to either get an appraisal, start the negotiations, whatever we need to do, get a commitment from the city of Portland, but I guess until that step happens,
From the
we're left with the
conversation.
two of us only seeing it, I guess.
From the conversation that I had with the bank that owns it, they're willing to take a loss, they're willing to move it into a county agency for the good of the county. It's something that they will sell just what they said is less than market value, on it. And they wanna see it, of course, City of Cortland wants to go to good home.
Mm-hmm.
So City of Cortland is backing behind it, and that's what they said, if we were, the calling, I guess, if we were to have interest, they would consider moving their administrative services into that, and then leaving the building they have now for the police department,
Well, I'd also,
to expand their needs there.
and I'd also like to have a plan for, our building that we're vacating. I don't wanna have another Ween building on our hands, you know what I mean? That's what we need to look at as well, so, and another county agency that's not growing or not as large, utilize that space, that's something we'd have to consider too. Can the coroner utilize that space? I don't know, he was looking for a new building at one time. Can the coroner utilize that? Potentially. you know?
Plus you've had renovations over there in the last couple of
And
years.
especially in the basement, that basement is state-of-the-art with their, I mean, I know the upstairs is rough, but the basement, we've done some major work in there. There's a beautiful conference room.
Do you warrant have any interest in it?
That's another question, yeah, I mean, that's, I hate to have another dilapidated building, or a dilapidated building, vacant building that we're just taking care of, so we need to have a plan for that building as well. So, things to consider, I guess.
Right. What about this other building? Did you look that up on the address? Did that pop up with anything?
I don't recognize that.
Trumbull County Mental Health Board owns it.
Oh,
That's 1296.
That's,
Okay.
So what is that?
I mean, they have their own funding sources and else, I mean, that's still under the commissioners, or?
They got their own board.
Yeah, they got their own board.
He apparently looked it up on the auditor's website, it says it's owned by Trumbull County Board of Commissioners.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the auditor's site. It says Trumbull County Alcohol as the owner address and taxpayer address, Trumbull County Mental Health and Recovery.
So they own it
They own their
separately.
own property, yeah, they must.
So then we should refer this person to deal with them directly, if that's something they're not using.
You said 1296 Youngstown
Yeah.
Warren Road? Right by the restaurant there? Days Inn? Almost, I think it's getting there, yeah.
I think that's almost in McKinley Heights.
Yeah. Right by, Giorgio's and Days Inn there, going up to the top of the hill. I don't see the oh, it must be this building. I'm assuming, I don't know. We could definitely call April and have her get in touch with.
Okay. This is a counseling center, mental health and substance use treatment center. But they,
It looks almost abandoned, well, here.
that's what they said, he said it's vacant.
Oh,
and-
okay.
And they wanna know if we would
I'm
rent it or
assuming
sell
that.
it. Oh, that's old. That used to be a lighting place or something?
I don't remember.
It's on the other side of the road. Next to George's, across the
Next,
street.
next to
George's.
Okay.
I don't know what
Now,
that,
light shop, the light shop.
yeah, 'cause the Days Inn is across the street.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, we'll reach out to April.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I'll refer her to this gentleman, he left his contact info.
Possible the county has title.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
How do we unmute him?
Should be unmuted the whole
Bill, you there?
Bill Hart?
Hey, Bill. I think sure has to unmute, right, 'cause it's a Zoom
gonna
call.
say, I think-
Yeah,
Oh. Roll this too?
she does. It's Zoom.
Roll the audio.
You did the story, I think you muted us,
I took it off, but yeah, that's
and
true.
then when you unmuted,
Yeah.
yeah, then he can hear us,
This is true.
yeah.
Be right back, give me a second here.
Commissioners,
There you are, Bill, you there?
yes, first and foremost, I want to apologize for a late call-off today. Yesterday was a busy day for me, and I forgot to put it in for today. But, I am here, so, Paula said that you need me at the meeting today.
Well, what do we have for him? What do we need a bill?
No, Bill, you wanna talk about the, architect and engineer for the GFS windows?
Yes, yes,
We got,
Jim had
Yeah, we got-
mentioned something that,
sorry, go ahead, Bill.
it's okay, Commissioners, there's a delay in the microphone, and sometimes it goes blank where I can't hear, but
I'm noticing
Jim
that.
got a, a opinion from Tanya that we could go forward with this, and so it's up to the commissioners to go for the engineering costs. It's already been established, and the price is already included in the application that I submitted for the whole amount for the project. I don't have that in front of me, so I can't tell you what that number is offhand.
Yeah, it was 7,600.
We have one here for 7,600, Bill. So I'd recommend we move that up to legal.
That was engineering, but
She's already answered the question.
Oh, she did? Okay.
I'm ready to put it on the agenda, just get it done, that's within, we got windows that are falling apart over there. John came to our one meeting, I'm sure, Alex can attest to that, you were in that building.
Literally falling out of it.
Literally falling out of the
Yeah,
wall,
you can't
it's
open
cold
it.
and hot,
Can't touch
bringing
that.
on heaters and everything.
So we'll have Paul put this on for tomorrow?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Jim, you'll get the resolution again?
Yeah.
Or Tanya got the resolution?
Commissioners,
Sir?
Commissioners,
Yes?
and with the Cortland Bank, when you sent me out there originally, I gave you a report card from the, bank gave me that their appraisal was like 2 million, and they were gonna list it for 1 point some, and then the Cortland office was gonna get it for 850 or so. But then I mentioned, the county would be interested, so I don't know, where that stand, where they got their what am I gonna call this? The appraisal from. So I know they got an appraisal done, but I don't know who did it for them.
You'd have to have your own verification.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure it's a fair price, a good price, but you'll have to have verification.
Right. Okay, Bill, we'll catch you when you get back, I guess.
I'll be there tomorrow.
I had to speak to you on another issue, that escapes me right now. Unfortunately, I was looking for you in the beginning of the meeting, and I can't think of it for the life of me, but I will give you a call. Thank you, Bill.
Yes, call me back, text me when you're available, and I'll give you a buzz back.
And don't mean to bother you, I'm sorry for your loss, I know you're at a funeral.
Oh, it's fine, thank you very much. Yeah, it's care of the business we need to take care of.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Yes.
Commissioners, I would just like to bring up,
Thank you.
Mr. Leitner. I did ask for a prosecutor's opinion as to next steps, best case scenario. And I did let you guys know yesterday that we do need to make a decision. We need to make a decision on whether we want to reach out to him for a letter of resignation or, look to terminate him. But I will leave that up to the board, you're the appointee.
Okay, well, for the record, he is not getting paid by the county right now.
Correct.
So we are not incurring his salary and your salary this time.
That is correct.
He's on unpaid leave, with his medical condition that he has right now.
Yes.
Do you feel, with being there a week now, do you feel, is there anything pending where you need him there for a day or two to go over anything?
No, I've
that's
actually-
pending there?
No, I think that it would be, I think it would be the best case scenario to just not bring him back in that way, so that way we're not duplicating any salaries. Also, I've actually handled at least 2 of the 3 major issues that I know of to date. There is still one pending. Mr. Swansky stopped by with me this morning and brought me up to date with that, so we'll work through that. But no, everything that I know of that has been, left pending is being taken care of.
Because I know he had some concerns that if he wasn't an employee anymore, he
Correct.
couldn't legally come in and volunteer to give you any information or
Correct.
thing. So my big concern was, is there anything he has left there that he needs to come in for a day? I mean, if it's not harming anything, if he's not getting paid, if he's not accruing anything, to have him come back possibly for a day and then turn his resignation in, and then, get his stuff and gather his belongings, whatever, and if there was anything pending, you could take care of it at that time.
I mean, I will leave that up to you. I don't feel that that's necessary at this time, but that's completely up to the board.
Yeah, I just don't know, I don't feel that we need Mr. Light, his services any longer, but, especially in light of, Alex, she's already responding to old emails and getting caught up on a lot of different things, so. Our contract with him was month to month, so I just asked for him, Bill, I mean, obviously he's not getting paid right now.
Correct.
How do we not, do we still terminate that contract on a month-to-month basis? Has to go on the agenda, even though he's not, then I'm for whatever we have to do legally to not you know, to not leave it open-ended, I
Yes.
guess.
I did reach out to Bill, and he said yes, either reobtain a letter of resignation, or the latter would be to terminate the, I don't wanna call it a contract, but yes, terminate the employment. And I didn't wanna leave it hanging out there, so
He doesn't recommend either way, or just,
he, of course, recommended the first step, which would be getting a letter of resignation, yes, because it just looks better from an HR perspective.
well, can you reach out to Mr. Leitner? Obviously,
You know, I'm fine with, if he's able to back something over today, if we get on the agenda
Yeah.
for tomorrow,
That's what I would,
then we
that's
can
what I
accept
would
it tomorrow. I would rather that,
yeah.
where we get, you know, I just don't like the
Yeah,
terminating the thing.
No, I don't either, I
No,
think that was
left on good terms.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. He
I agree.
provided a great service for us
Oh,
in
absolutely.
the time of need, so,
Absolutely.
I would rather that. Can you reach out to him today and see if he's
I would
willing
prefer to
do
go that route as well, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
Yes, I would not wanna resort.
And then get with Paula right away, so if that is the case, then we can, you know, possibly accept that tomorrow.
Need to make sure we have the board. All right.
Okay, if there's nothing else out, I'm gonna read, did I get it right?
Well,
We're
not,
what was that?
just generalizations. Council.
I'm going to, make a motion to enter an executive session pursuant to revised code.
No, you don't wanna go into executive session here for this. Only because they're questioning the status of your meetings, whether or not it's the proper meeting or not, so you can only go into executive
Okay.
session from a regular meeting.
When I interviewed counsel on my own and talked to him, who was gonna interview us, or would represent us in, this case regarding this stuff, he said for us to go in executive session to read the statement he sent over to me, then we can go and talk to him collectively on the phone to decide whether it's somebody
Today?
he's waiting for us right now, or someone we wanna hire or not, and then come back from it, and then we can make a decision tomorrow when everybody's brought up to speed on it. But that was his recommendation, and he's the attorney that specializes in this stuff statewide, and said this is the proper way to do it.
Bill Danzo on the phone?
Contact Bill Danzo right now.
Should we?
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
Sure.
The only reason I say it is because the status of these meetings is questioned whether or not it's a true public meeting or not.
In his eyes, absolutely not it is, and that's what he's gonna represent us in, so that's why he said to do it this way.
Try to make this so that.
Because as of yet, we have not been able to talk about this at all.
Yep.
And by me initiating the call with this, he wants to be able to talk to us as collectively as a group and make his pitch.
Thank you.
Thank you for,
Thank you.
Hi, you've reached Bill Danzo, I'm unavailable to take your call.
Can you try to?
He was off,
That was his cell phone, but
he's working from home.
He's
today.
working from home,
When
correct,
I
yeah,
spoke to him earlier,
can you try calling him?
I bought,
because he has no,
Or Dennis or somebody, or Jason? We gotta have legal representation.
yeah, but I
No,
mean,
what I'm
we're-
saying is that you
I
can,
don't,
you
you
can
have Sean
generically
to get Jason
discuss
to,
it here.
phone number,
No.
cell phone number.
we can't, because we gotta discuss pros and cons, and with people listening,
It jeopardizes.
it jeopardizes,
Yep.
and that's why he said, nope, you have to do this in executive session, and he
Follow
looked
the
at,
advice of your
He-
proposed counsel.
that's what I mean, I said, if he can't do this, then definitely, he's not the guy we want to represent us anyway.
I'm a councilman in McDonald. I have like various information I've got on what ARPA funding applications we've submitted. Can I get an answer to that? Do I have different I don't knows and,
Which one did you submit?
I didn't submit anything, but I've asked multiple people about what we did, and all I've gotten concretely was like a historical society one. That wasn't, it was done by the historical. Somebody else said that they may have submitted something else. I don't know,
McDonald, can you look and see if you have
That's what I'm
any
asking.
McDonald?
I never saw it.
Is there nothing that on the books from them? Russ?
I would have to,
I'd have to
look
check
at
the
it.
commissioner's drive, I don't see one.
Paula, can we try getting
they're good.
somebody from?
No, they are,
Okay.
I'm sorry, she
I'm
just
sorry,
went
I
to,
didn't know if you
no,
were.
no,
That was my
sorry,
only question I
over
had.
to,
Thank you.
cell
So you
phone
don't
number.
think, just off the top of your head, you don't think there's anything submitted then?
No, I heard somebody make a reference in a meeting, something about a McDonald's.
I had asked somebody, and they said that there was a historical society grant, or historical society money out, but
I need a cell
I don't know if that's the route that we wanted to
Had a
go.
lot of
If
historical
you could get it
societies
from
that live in that
He
state.
could call down.
And it was very little, it was maybe like 10,000.
Can you give him your number and he can look it up
Yeah.
on the computer?
Okay.
I like
Look through all the grants and see if
Kind of.
it's there.
330?
Okay.
717
Okay.
5137.
No,
Okay.
thank you.
By the village?
It was McDonald Historical Society, I think, who submitted it.
Okay.
But I
I heard
we're submitting like
717.
5137. If we're just going one route, I don't know if that's necessarily the route.
And what's your name?
John, that's
John.
here.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
Thanks.
Somewhat newly elected.
Someone, yeah, but a
You've
year
been
and a
there a
half,
little bit, yeah.
year and a half there, so.
Love the village, by the way.
I know. You guys have a good day.
Thanks, John.
You know, village first stuff after.
Yeah.
We need.
He's a
Yeah,
village
but
councilman.
but I got,
No.
I'll tell you what,
Yes, okay, I'll be around.
okay.
I just didn't want you to forget.
She's going to get Mr. To's cell phone number. I'm gonna try to call Mr. Danzo.
Then that's why I specifically called him yesterday and said, okay, how do I legally talk to any of the other people? And what he recommended.
When are you, no, it's just you and Becky over there. You, bring those other two.
Becky and I are sitting down, and I would like to talk with her first before making her the, proposing,
Yeah.
putting up to the board a vote for making her the permanent administrative assistant. You owe her a conversation first to make sure that that's what she wants to pursue. So I will speak with her about that.
Let me ask you, is there any possibility of Becky and us performing duties at 3 as opposed to 4 in there? I don't mean to put you on the spot, I'm just saying, if there's a cost savings there, we can.
I think that there would definitely be cost savings there, first and foremost, and I acknowledge that. I am looking at other ways that we can look at cost savings. So for example, I got rid of the cell phone. I have a phone, but the other two don't. It's not a phone. We were paying $40 a month for cell phones that weren't even being used. I know that's nothing, but I am looking at small things along the way. Yes, there is a potential. I definitely need to do a feasibility study of my own department to figure out.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, and I am working on that. That's my goal for this week. So kind of last week, I had to figure out some.
I know, and I don't mean to, I know.
No, you're fine. So Thursday and Friday is my goal to sit down with Becky, and I'm actually gonna have her help me kind
Trying
of
to get a hold of
do a
Mr.
feasibility
Walken,
study of what we know. Yeah,
Good,
Um,
good. I think that's
Secretary
necessary.
it is
Because
necessary.
if you get by with 3, I'm not saying you can't, but
Yeah.
if you can.
But we could also
Oh,
start
here's
there.
Bill.
Thank you.
There's Bill.
I appreciate that.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, sorry, I was on with the auditor's office.
That's okay. I'm here in not executive, I'm here in the, workshop
On speaker.
on speakerphone with, Paula, Commissioner Malloy, Jim Masaki, Alex, and, Amy, and
And the meeting's being
the
recorded.
meeting's being recorded. So, I have you on the line, and the press is here and everything. I guess, Denny, you wanna,
Okay, Bill, I reached out to some different counsel, regarding the pending litigation, and did an interview myself, and I have one of the attorneys that we, were recommended from you in the email or whatever, when you sent the thing, that wants to talk to, the three of us as co-litigants or whatever, co-defendants. And we're trying to figure out the legality of being able to do it. We're in a public meeting, don't wanna discuss pros and cons here, because it is something that, could affect the case, by, tipping the hat to pros and cons or whatever. This attorney advised me that the meeting we have here today, he sent me over, in his opinion, how to handle this based on him. That he recommends that through this meeting we have, there was a pre-scheduled meeting, weekly meeting, properly notified and all that stuff, that we go in executive session, and then be able to talk to him on the phone, with the three of us, so that he can make the pitch about representing us to the group of us, so that we can make an informed decision on whether this is the person we wanna hire tomorrow at public meeting. He sent over to me that he felt this was, pursuant to revised code 12122G1. And that's what he said, he's done this many times with other things, and this is the way his firm recommends we do this legally to stay within, all legality of us being together to discuss this.
Well, what I would say is that this is not the way we give legal advice, you know, with all due respect. We don't give on-the-spot, phone call advice in the middle of a public meeting like this for our clients. We'd be glad to address that with you guys, but this isn't the context where we do it for a number of reasons. First of all, some things require a little bit more research and explanation than we're able to do in the middle of a public meeting. Second of all, to the degree that there's attorney-client privileged information and anything, this could be a waiver if we discuss our legal advice or anything like that. And third, in this matter, obviously, as you know, the reason we're not involved with the substance of this is due to a conflict, so we have to be even extra careful there. This is, again, it's a situation where, we're caught a little off guard with getting a phone call saying, hey, by the way, we're in the middle of a public meeting here, give us some advice. That's just not the way we are able to do it. So, at this point, I think that, you guys always have to be cautious of the open meetings laws. There's been advice given in the past on those laws. There's been, the handbook that's available to all elected officials on how to navigate that. But, this isn't the context that we're gonna be able to give you guys on-the-spot legal advice.
Okay. I guess what we're looking at is in this meeting here, have during the workshops, they gone in the executive session during a workshop before to discuss stuff?
I will just give, the historical context is, I don't recall that happening very much, if ever, in a workshop. But again, I'm not saying that it can't be done in the right context. I think, what you guys need to just look at is, what type of meeting you're having, and then what fits in with that executive session. And all I would say is, again, the executive session statutes are really, they are what they are, and they're supposed to be construed, narrowly in accordance with what the language is. But, beyond that, again, for specific legal advice, this isn't the way we're able to give legal advice in a meeting like this.
Gotcha. Okay, well, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Well, I will say this, to speak openly, that obviously the prosecutor is, conflicted, as we heard. And, when I heard that conflict, and I knew that there would be, being a board member is one of the people in this lawsuit, I asked the prosecutor's office for, I'm sure Commissioner Malloy did as well, for suggestions as to legal firms that do this type of work, handle, sunshine law and public records and all those different things that go along with this. They did give us some names of some individuals, or firms, and individuals, that's his firm. I gotta find it now. For us to, consider. And, I have to find the actual email. So, I'm not sure if I'm gonna locate it right now.
Well, I get the same email.
Yes,
And
I don't remember how it was sent, but.
And this firm was one of the ones that's on that I called. Interviewed the guy myself. He gave me his history with familiarity of this case. He looked at the case. He knows exactly what we have to do to represent all three of us. And this is the advice that he gave us as being someone to potentially represent us in this. and this is the advice that he recommended that we do to stay legal in accordance to be able to hire their firm, if that is so the case. So I trust his judgment above and beyond even the prosecutor on this, because this is the guy that'll be in court fighting to defend us for this exact same thing. And that's the legal advice that he's given us based on case law and based on his experiences, not only with this case, but with this attorney and this whole, exact same thing he's dealt with before. And so he's saying that in this meeting, this is what we should do. And then after we consult, and if that's a decision, we come back, from that session, then we can make a decision tomorrow on if this is someone we wanna hire, or if you wanna recommend somebody else, or we recommend somebody else. But to be able to talk to him, about this and obtain the attorney-client privilege at that time, this is what he says is what we need to do. And that's why he said he's got his firm on hold now, waiting for a call from us so that he can talk to us collectively to, give us his pitch on if this is for people we want to retain. He's well aware of the agenda item and how it needs to be filed and how, that we need to hire him, and it's been approved by the prosecutor to go outside of counsel. He's up on that. Like I said, this is his advice, he's telling us what to do.
Can he, without talking about any of the merits of the case or anything like that, can we get him on the line and for him to say that this is the way we need to go about it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're comfortable with that, I can do that.
I mean, if he's, I don't know.
I mean, there's gotta be a way, we have to be able to interview counsel that we're gonna have them feel comfortable. This is a person that's gonna represent the board or the people in it as one, rather than us all having three separate entities and paying over $1,000 an hour.
If you talk about the case, then you're running the risk of jeopardizing.
Right, we can't in public, so you have to be able to
So
be
how
able
are
to
you
do this.
interviewing them publicly? You can't do that.
No.
Right.
Could one board member make a recommendation of the firm, of the name of the attorney, and the amount they charge?
That is, but I think we would all feel more comfortable if we all had a collective, rather than each of them talking to us individually. That's still,
Round robin.
yeah, it doesn't sound right there. I mean, this is the person that's gonna represent us in this. And if this is his recommendation.
Just hypothetically, what's the difference if you were to go into executive session at tomorrow's regular meeting to do the same thing?
And then come out and
Yeah.
vote. Almost similar to what we're doing
Yeah.
now.
I guess nothing.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, because when we read this,
Well,
to go into executive before this stuff's not filled in, we don't know what this is, I guess it'd be a motion from the floor at that time or whatever, because it's gonna be left blank. This was the time slot they had available, he actually wanted to come up to it. I didn't think that was prudent for him to drive that distance to be here for that. And he said, well, we can do it over the phone, since you're having a meeting that's been advertised, you're having an open meeting with the press, then here's what you need to do to do this, because you are discussing hiring, the board is discussing hiring someone pursuant, of what he said, a public official or public employee, but he said they qualify as a vendor for that entity. So that's where he said this does fit in that portion of the revised code. He said that came from his firm that deals with this for a living.
And I guess we would have other vendors or himself or whoever come and give presentations, but we already got information about the firm from Bill Danville. And if he were, or he or she or whoever were to come and give a pitch, you would need to talk about the merits of the case, unfortunately, and that would jeopardize your case.
In executive session.
But if it were to happen in the open.
Right, that would jeopardize it in the
Right.
open, that's what he said. He said you
Well,
have
that's what I'm
privilege to do that, that this is something that.
I just wish we would've got clear.
Well, and like I said, you can't take that with a grain of salt. We're going outside to say, hey, this is what we're being accused of. How do we not violate the law? And this is the law firm saying, this is how you do it. And then go into that, and then if we retain them, then he, by represents us in that. But this is his recommendation on the legal way to do it, his firm's recommendation on the legal way to do it. And he worked for the AG's office and the ethics board before and helped write some of the policies and procedures.
I'm just saying, like hypothetically, what's the difference if you just?
Well, I mean, hypothetically, is the question,
If you do it tomorrow.
is the question, is today a legal meeting versus is it not a legal meeting?
There's,
I understand that, but he is defending us that it is, and we have the proof to show that it is, I believe. You know, just because someone accuses us of it, doesn't mean we need to change the way we do business because of a fear of that if we're doing everything legal, which I think we are. I think we have advertised it. This is a legal meeting. This is a meeting that we can even count towards the number of meetings we're supposed to have by law and the thing, so why wouldn't we be able to go into a session like this in a public legal meeting like that?
We wait till tomorrow, there's absolutely 100% no question or no challenge. Wait till tomorrow for example.
Potentially, but I don't know if that's available with his schedule tomorrow at that time. And then it doesn't give us time that if we don't like what it said, to potentially maybe have someone else for tomorrow if this doesn't meet the needs of what we want.
I'd like him to weigh in on it, if he's gonna be expert on this, and he's telling you that, can he tell us in a public meeting why this is legal and why this needs to happen today?
yeah, without talking about the.
Without talking about the merits of the case,
Let's do that.
but
The
just,
process, not
but just
the
the
merits.
process.
Yeah, I think if you stick to the process.
Oh, I don't wanna talk about the case, I just wanna talk about going into executive.
Yes.
And respond. Yeah.
Rudy?
Hey, this is Denny Malloy. We are still sitting in the public meeting, that's being recorded, and we,
On speakerphone.
we're on speakerphone, you know, with the press and stuff. My colleague, Commissioner, and the other, co-defendant is here, and our, Human Resources Director, and the prosecutor here cannot give us an opinion because of the third party being represented by them. I explained in my conversation to you, the conversation I had with you, that you felt the best way for us to be able to discuss this without jeopardizing the case by tipping our hat or letting onto any leads or weaknesses, that the way to do it was to go in executive session. And they kinda wanna hear it from you on why you as counsel believe that in the meeting we had here today, which was a legal meeting, a publicly publicized meeting with the press, that we are able to do this, to go in executive session in this meeting to discuss this with you. And one of the questions came up as well, can we do it tomorrow during the regular meeting? I don't see a difference between today's meeting and tomorrow's meeting. And is there something you could say on that as far as your legal expertise, not involving the particulars of the case, but just in regards to open meeting laws and us being able to discuss this issue with you collectively?
Yeah, happy to do so. Again, with the caveat that, I've not been engaged, and so this is not, formal legal advice, but happy to talk through, just conceptually, the entire process. So, it's my understanding from our conversation, Denny, that, at the organizational meeting in, January, the board votes to set the meeting schedule for the year. It's my understanding that I think the normal business meeting is on Wednesdays, Wednesday morning, and I believe on Tuesday it sets the work sessions are every Tuesday. That's, agreed upon and voted upon by the board. Practically speaking, there are three types of meetings, but really two. One is a regular meeting. For regular meetings, we have to provide notice of the time and place. So again, every Wednesday at 10:30 at the county building, or every Tuesday at 10:30 at the county building, whatever the case may be. Then we don't have to provide the purpose of those meetings, and we can just kind of conduct normal business. Then we have, what are called special meetings, and those are where we need to provide at least 24 hours notice. And in that notice, we have to provide the time, the place, and the purpose of the meeting. So for example, if you wanted to have a meeting
on, let's say, maybe a meeting to discuss specific ARPA funds and how to spend those. He would do that on a Saturday morning to allow more community members to come. So we would have a meeting on, Saturday at 9 o'clock at the county building to discuss ARPA funds and granting those out. We would only, at that meeting, be able to discuss ARPA funds. We couldn't then talk about, hiring a new, administrator or a new HR director because it wouldn't be, in the topic that was noticed. When you, technically under the law, there's no legal requirement that even an agenda be published for a regular meeting. For example, I think people are right that you certainly can discuss this tomorrow as a regular meeting, but again, it's my understanding that, the Tuesday work sessions, even though we call them work sessions, they're really a regular meeting of the board, because any time that at least a majority of the board meets to discuss the business of the county, and it's a meeting subject to the Open Meetings Act, and so the notice would have been, it's a regular meeting because it was voted upon and scheduled at the beginning of the year by the board, and it occurs at the same time and place, regularly scheduled, and so therefore, it doesn't necessarily, it's a regular meeting, so it doesn't need special notice or anything like that. As it pertains to executive session, again, there's no, at regular meetings, there's no requirement or notice in advance to be given for executive session. There's 8 or 9 reasons, outlined in the Open Meetings Act to enter executive session. 121.22G1 allows the discussion of personnel, and there's a number of items related to that, the hiring, firing, discipline, appointment, investigation, things like that. And then 121.22G3 allows, for the discussion of pending or imminently threatened litigation, which again, there's obviously a pending lawsuit here. So I think there's a couple of avenues you could talk about this case about an executive session. And again, that would allow you to leave public session, talk about these things privately, and then you would need to return to open session at the conclusion of executive session. No decisions can be made in executive session, but just have a discussion, and then you enter back into executive or open session to conclude the meeting or otherwise continue with it. So I hope that gives some clarity, at least kind of big picture, but obviously if there's any specific questions, happy to answer those.
Gentlemen, anything?
I guess my only concern is, number one, I don't even know who this is, so,
My apologies, this is Bruce.
Hold on.
And I'd like, I guess, give me some time to call, the different people that are on the, I've done some research with some local attorneys and asked them about, different firms that we can use, but, I don't wanna, just jump the gun here, so let me.
But I mean, to go, to interview him collectively, the three of us,
Right.
he's saying this is a regular meeting. He's saying we can go into executive session to do this. So I'm saying, why don't we do that then?
So, that's true. What would be the difference, I guess, mystery person, that we would, in doing this today or doing it tomorrow? Would it bear any, is there any difference in doing it today or tomorrow?
No, the short answer is no.
So it's the same, today's meeting, tomorrow's meeting, and in the eyes of the law, in your opinion, is the same thing. They're both regularly scheduled meetings.
Again, it's my understanding that the board votes at the organizational meeting in January to set the regular meeting schedule. That includes, working sessions on Tuesdays and then business meetings on Wednesday. So they're both considered regular meetings. But yeah, I don't think, it could certainly happen, you can certainly do it tomorrow. It's not, there's really, in my opinion, no, it's a distinction without a difference, because they're both regular meetings.
Right, we're not gonna vote on whether to hire this person or not, we're just gonna be able to go and interview and ask the questions we need to ask to see if we feel he's proper representation for us. So I don't see what the harm is with that, if this is what he's saying.
Does what Denny just said, does that fall under, executive session for this purpose?
Yeah, so, the county, typically, as you guys know, the county commissioners are represented by
But here's
county
my,
prosecutor.
I guess here's my hiccup, without getting, you're not our legal counsel yet. So, and our legal counsel hasn't given us any advice. So if I'm taking your advice, am I going against advice of our counsel? Because we haven't retained you yet. It becomes
That's
circular.
why I certainly, I tried to say that at the beginning, I've not been engaged or anything like that, so this is not, it's not legal advice, right? I'm just kind of talking big picture, and I don't want to go contrary to, I don't know the discussions you guys have had prior to this, and I've not talked with.
And we haven't, that's the issue, that's the problem, is we can't talk unless we're in public meeting, and to talk about some of the pros and cons, to chip weaknesses or pros and cons in the case or whatever, we need to be able to discuss that, and that's where I think in an executive session is a place to do it, and to be able to ask you the questions directly, to answer our questions on whether you're the person or not. And if it is, like you said, if you feel it does fall within the G2, G3 in there, that it does fall in with pending legal action, and if we're allowed to explore the possibilities of, if you feel that falls in with that is allowable for an executive session without actually have been retained yet, I'm in favor of saying, yes, we go in executive session and doing this.
And that's my question, does interviewing potential, attorneys fall under executive session?
So, again, typically the county prosecutor would be your statutory counsel, but there is a provision and there's an AG opinion that backs this up, that allows you guys, as county commissioners, to appoint special counsel, so you're allowed to, as considered a, public employee, public official, and 122.21G1 allows, again, for you to enter into executive session for personnel reasons, so that's, again, the hiring, firing, discipline, appointment, investigation of a public official or public employee. So I think that very clearly, it would fall under that, and, that has been used, that by public bodies that I've interviewed with other times, plenty before, so it's not an uncommon or, unique thing that you guys would be doing, but again, I don't wanna make anyone feel uncomfortable.
Yep.
Or anything like that, so I certainly understand if you'd rather push to tomorrow.
Listen, here's the thing, we got the press here, I think we've talked about this in the open, now transparently. And if we were to do this tomorrow, it may even lend itself to be even more credible, you know what I mean? Just, we've talked about the process, we're not hiding anything, so tomorrow if we go into executive session, I think, if it's okay with you, that it can wait till tomorrow and I can review some of these other firms, and go from there.
Yeah, whatever is easiest for you guys, I can make myself available, if that's of interest to you guys.
I don't see why we can't talk to him now,
I know,
because, I mean,
but I'm not getting clear answers from, and that worries me.
we're not gonna get any clear answer from our, he already sent us a letter that he can't represent us, and to go outside and find your own counsel, and we'll pay
But
for
at
it.
this point, who's representing us? That's my problem.
At this point, we have no representation until we hire counsel.
No, but I mean, even in our official capacity, who's representing us?
So, if I can, and I don't mean to speak out of place, but I understand that the prosecutor likely doesn't wanna represent you in this lawsuit.
No, I understand, but even to advise us as to how to go about things, that's what I'm saying. Not to advise us in the lawsuit, in the nuts and bolts of the lawsuit, but how to go about the process.
Yeah, those are separate issues though, so they should still be able to offer you advice
Thanks.
on how to do that,
But we're not getting that.
okay, wow.
I believe, speaking in a public meeting, I'm sure they would give us advice on executive session section of if they felt it covered this. We give them time and write that, he would give us opinion if this meeting would fall under what category of executive session.
So, Paula, you're proposing that we go ask,
Oh, no, I'm not proposing anything. I was just saying that I do ask the prosecutor's office several times when we have executive session matters. They do get back with me with the section. I'm not
Well,
proposing.
how about this? It's just, I'm proposing that I get more time to digest, to look at the
that's what I was
different
gonna
firms,
say.
and to, I know we have to do this, and it's imminent, we have to decide on somebody. We will have a decision by tomorrow, whether or not Commissioner Malloy or myself nominate somebody from the floor, but we'll proceed with that, and if you can be available, as some of the other firms can be available, I will let them know, then we will proceed from there. Is that something you're amenable to?
Oh, yeah, whatever you guys wanna do, I'm happy to be as flexible, as I can be and offer any insight or answer any questions that I can.
Okay. All right, well, I will contact you on my own, along with some other recommendations that we received.
Yeah.
And then move on from there, how's that?
That's perfect, thank you guys so much, sorry if I can.
Sorry to put you on the spot, too, and thank you for your assistance.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
so now, I guess it's a little. Any other business, or President?
I have none.
I have none either. Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Mr. Cancel Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
I miss Sharon.